Hey guys, a question that I see asked very frequently on TikTok and on Facebook groups is how Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Orlando runs their accessibility services. Since we're pass holders at Universal Studios Hollywood and go quite frequently, I thought I would jump on and explain what I've learned about the system and how it works. Behind me is a screenshot directly from Universal Studios website. And if you would like to read this whole thing by yourself, which I highly suggest doing, you can check it out. If you just, type into Google Universal Studios Hollywood or Orlando, whichever one you're visiting, and then type in accessibility services, it'll pop right up on Google. Super easy to find that way. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so this system was updated a few months ago, and it now requires anyone who's visiting who needs accommodations for standing in line to get this card. You can either visit this website or you can download the app and obtain it through there. So how this works is you'll get on and there's a form that you need to fill out. It includes, your basic information and then what accessibility accommodations are you requesting. This goes to a third party. Universal never sees any medical information or any of this stuff that they require on this form. So after you fill out your basic info, there'll be check boxes, and you put in that you have a service dog if you have one, you have trouble standing in lines, you have trouble with crowds, all of that kind of stuff. Then there's two questions, and they ask if you can stand in line and if you have trouble in enclosed spaces / around crowds, those two. And you just fill in yes or no for those two. Then you'll need some kind of documentation that you just submit screenshots of, either a letter from your doctor or maybe your handicap placard or the dot form that you used when you flew with your service dog. Any of those kind of forms work to submit for this request. Once you submit all of that stuff, you're going to be given a temporary approval, and that can totally be used for your 48 hours to the park if you do not receive full approval by the time of your visit. It took me a few days to get approved by my doctor. Once it was approved, I saw the temporary be removed on my account. So there is another additional step after that. Florida needs to call you, the Universal Studios Florida needs to call you, or you can call them. They are very backed up in their system. A lot of people are trying to, figure this new system out, get their stuff that they need to do for their visit, So I just ended up calling them because it had already been a few weeks and no one had called me, and I had been to the park, and they're like, you gotta get Florida to give you this code number. And pretty much this says that they have reviewed that they have the IBCCES card, and that you are in their system, and they give you a little code number. I'm not 100% sure on what that is exactly for, but what happened was after I got that approval from Florida, I went to Universal and they looked at my account and they took that number and they put it on my pass. So that's how the registration process goes. So when you actually go to the park, and let's say you have your card, either temporary or full approval, and you're with your service dog, you'll go up to guest services like you would normally do. You will still need to check your dog into guest services. They will ask you still the two questions, and they will write down what your dog is wearing and what breed they are. They will still do all of their usual stuff, okay? When you go up to the counter, you show them the IBCCES card, and they will be okay, they'll issue you the pass that is requested, this attraction queue accommodation pass. And they told me that they're doing this to cut down on people who don't really need that pass, who are just using it as a fast pass to get through the lines and not have to wait and everything. These accommodations are for people who legitimately have disabilities and standing in line is hard for them. Either it's hard on their body or hard on their mind, whatever it might be, but those are the people who need the passes. So once you do all of that at guest services and you get that little card, the nice thing is that they did actually update the card, so you can now have 6 people in your party listed on that card. Before it only went up to 4, so it was kind of hard for like families of 5, or maybe they brought a friend with them, like whatever. So what's really nice is they updated it to 6 people, and how this card works at the rides is that you take your card up to whatever ride you want to go on, and they give you a return time. So they'll look at like how long the ride queue is actually, and then they'll say, okay, come back in X amount of time. So you can go and do whatever in the park, maybe get some water, get a snack, just walk around, whatever you're feeling. And then you come back at your time, you go through the ride queue, and then you get on the ride. And it like usually takes about like 10 minutes-ish, 15 maybe tops. Maybe 20, like somewhere in there, not hard, and not as long as the normal wait time, like if you have a ride that's like 180 minutes or something, so you'll go through that line with this accommodation. So it is a little bit less of waiting time, but there is still a little bit of waiting time, just so like everyone's aware. It doesn't just jump you to the front of the line. Something to note is that you can't just like collect all the rides in the park. I can't just like go up to one, get a time, run to someone else, get a time, that's not how it works. You can only have one ride on your card at a time, and you have to have the cast member cross out the ride. So you'll go, they'll scan your, there's like a barcode on this, they'll scan it however many people are in your party, and then you get to go on. But they will cross out the attraction, so the next person knows that first attraction has been used. Also, do not cross these out by yourself. I was told by one employee that if you use like a different color pen, then they might think that the card wasn't yours, or like some confusion might happen. So they said, like, out of caution, just take it to an employee who works there, or maybe you're going to your next ride, you can explain to them, hey, I decided to not go on that ride, I'm coming to you now, like, kind of thing. But you cannot have more than one ride on there, without a cross out through it. So yeah, that's kind of how the system works. It's a little bit of like jumping through hoops at this point now, but they're just trying to cut back on making sure like people who don't need it aren't using it. Yeah, it's kind of a lot, but that's the whole explanation of how you get the card and how you use it at the parks. I hope this helped whoever has been having questions about this system. Again, look it up and read the whole thing that they offer. It's pretty short. Like, this is literally like the beginning of it. And yeah, I hope whoever is going to Universal has an amazing experience though. And put your comments and questions below.